Last month, I spoke about a bizarre trend I see emerging in feminist advocacy, a trend I view as not just fighting for women's free choice, whether academically, professionally, in lifestyle, or whatever else, but for control of choice. A lot of arguments I hear coming from a feminist perspective aren't arguing for freedom to choose, and are instead arguing what to choose, implying the problem isn't solved until women start choosing correctly. The example I explored last month was this report on closing the pay gap, which the authors grant exists in large part not because of discrimination in the workplace, but because of the choices women make. If you grant that women are choosing freely but you still see a problem, then you can't solve your problem until women start choosing correctly, which is exactly what this report advocates. So is that a problem about women? Or is that a problem about ideology? It seems to me that if promoting women's rights is your only aim, then your purposes should end at women's freedom to choose. If instead you're telling them how to choose or what to choose, that's not about women. That's about advancing your worldview. I caught another example of this feminist trend on Monday's episode of The Ben Shapiro Show, when Shapiro hosted feminist advocate Gillian Gilchrist to discuss her column, Originalism is Sexist, Neil Gorsuch and the Equal Rights Amendment, in which she argues that Gorsuch's originalist interpretation of the Constitution, meaning interpreting the words of the Constitution as they were understood at the time of their writing, is sexist because at the time of the Constitution's writing, women were not equal before the law. Shapiro disagrees, and the two discuss their competing constitutional interpretations. If the philosophy of constitutional law is your thing, this is a great discussion to listen to. I've linked it in full in the description. But what grabbed my attention is the closing portion of this discussion. In Shapiro's view, the idea that the Supreme Court can just interpret its own worldview into the Constitution with no textual basis for doing so raises an important question. Why have a legislature at all? Why have the legislative process for creating law at all? If Supreme Court justices can simply create law out of their own whim, why don't we cut the charade and just make them kings and queens?
My final question is this. Why bother having elections? Why bother having legislatures? Why do you, if the American people are constantly doing things that are stupid, or if the American people are constantly electing legislatures that are terrible, and if we can just have judges who are going to be able to apply the Constitution as you see fit, why not just appoint Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the actual queen of the United States, and she can rule from above, and she'll do all the things you want?
Pay attention to the response. It's another example of this trend in feminist reasoning. No, I'm fine with free choices and the will of the people, so long as those choices and that will align with mine.
No, I certainly think checks and balances are what we need in this country. I'd end by saying what we haven't tried in this country is equal representation. And so maybe when we get a legislative body that is equally men and women, and we get a Supreme Court that's equally men and women, we might see.
This is exactly the trend in feminist reasoning I'm talking about. The method of choice, the freedom to choose, does not matter. What matters is the outcome. Her goal is not women's freedom to choose in the form of voting. Her goal is perfectly equal outcome in the distribution of government office. And so Shapiro's original question still stands. Why bother having an election at all if the results and not the choice are what matters? Why not just install the correct results, since they're clearly correct? Shapiro follows with another important question. What if most of the electorate were women voters, but they vote for things you don't like? Is that still a feminist problem?
What about when we have an electorate that's 54% women? At that point, can we say that we have equal representation because most people who vote are women?
Nope, not yet.
Why not? What happened to the women? Are they all slave?
Well, we might have equal voting, but we do not have equal representation in any of our bodies of government. And so until we have that, I think we'll see a big difference in the policies and the rights we have as women in this country.
We may have equal voting, but we do not have equal representation. In other words, we may have the freedom to choose, but there is no guarantee people will choose what I like. And that's a problem. You get either or. You don't get both. You either believe in free choice and accept the results it produces, or you say my choice is the superior choice and it should be enforced. And when clarifying her position, she still tries to hold these incompatible beliefs together. I believe in free choice. I just won't be satisfied until everyone starts choosing correctly.
So a woman is not really a female voter if she elects a man? I'm confused again by like
No, not at all. I just think that, to your point of should we have just a judicial branch ruling all, I was answering that. No, we need equal representation in all leadership bodies in this country. And so I was speaking to that piece.
Okay.
I think it's fantastic we have both men and women voting for both men and women.
It's fantastic so long as it produces equal representation across all bodies of government. Free choice is fantastic as long as it fills a very specific quota. Shapiro offers a question in jest to close, but it's actually an important question to ask. If you still aren't convinced this reasoning has nothing to do with women and women's freedom and everything to do with enforcing a worldview, there's this.
So Ivanka Trump for president then. She's a woman. So, yay.
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay, well, I appreciate you taking the time. Jillian Gilchrist, very kind of you to come on.
They're joking, they're being cordial, but the question remains, would she support an Ivanka Trump presidency? I doubt it, but based on her reasoning, why not? I thought the goal was equal representation across all bodies of government. A female president fills that executive quota, right? You just finished saying you want women in power because that will produce policy you like. But not that woman, because she won't produce policy you like. It's not about women. It's about women who support the ideology, just like it's not about free choice. It's about choices that support the ideology. The problem then is not insufficient power for women. The problem is insufficient power for feminism. The problem is women are not choosing the feminist worldview. Make no mistake, if you believe we should value a woman's freedom to choose in her education, in her employment, in her lifestyle, and on her ballot, you are an enemy of modern feminism, not an ally, and certainly not a beneficiary. This is an ideology about control, not freedom. Why do I say it's about control? Because increasingly, in this case, in the pay gap case, and many others, feminists grant that the inequalities we sometimes observe are the product of free choices, including women's free choices. Yet they still see a problem. If you view the results of free choice as a problem, you necessarily view free choice itself as a problem. And if you view free choice as a problem, control follows as the solution. And so what we have is a bizarre distortion of what I thought feminism was supposed to be all about. Female liberation, female power, female freedom. But who are the people telling women how to behave now? Who are the people telling women what to think and how to live now? Feminism keeps pitting itself against freedom and getting mad when it loses. But in the battle of ideas, freedom has a pretty impressive record. Challenge at your own peril and don't get too demoralized. There's no shame in losing to the best. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel. Always appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below and especially over on Twitter. That is at ML Christensen. You're always welcome to come hang out and chat in my live streams. Those are linked down in the description. Looking forward to it. Okay, bye.